Let's start out with the TV series, The Boroughs. Season 1, dropping on Netflix probably when you hear this or within a day of when you hear this. It is produced, or at least is executive produced. I know it's partially produced by the Duffer Brothers. And after something very bad is going to happen, this is their second production coming out on Netflix this year. This one's a little different in flavor. That was very horror-centric. And this one's much more... It's not the same as Stranger Things, but in the same way that Stranger Things was tapping into the Spielberg-esque kind of children and adventure kind of series and feel, this is tapping into some other aspects of kind of the Spielbergian, early Spielbergian style. Now, the basic concept of this, I would say the best way I would describe it, the best kind of references I would give for it, it's a combination of Cocoon, the 80s movie Cocoon, and Don't Worry, Darling, or the Stepford Wives, where you have these kind of very curated, idyllic seeming communities that obviously have some kind of a secret going on underneath. So, how does this play out in the Boroughs? In the Boroughs, you've got your main character played by Alfred Molina, Sam, and he is basically going to a retirement community. And before his wife had died, they had both bought a home in this idyllic retirement community called the Boroughs. Unfortunately, she died before they got to move in there, and he reluctantly, since the money's already been paid and they really can't get out of the contract or anything, he's reluctantly taken by his daughter out there to Boroughs. And he really doesn't want to do it, but he doesn't really have anywhere else to go. He definitely doesn't want to go to a retirement home. He wants to go to an actual home of his own, even though it's in this community. So basically, like very many other Spielbergian movies, it's a cul-de-sac movie where you have him, Mr. Sam, played by Alfred Molina, taking residence and starting to build up his life in this brand new house on this kind of perfect idyllic cul-de-sac, and meeting his neighbors. His neighbors, though, are quite famous in the acting community, as they are now. You got Bill Pullman playing Jack, one of his neighbors. You got Jenna Malone as his daughter. You've got Geena Davis playing another neighbor named Renee. You've got Alfred Woodard playing one of his neighbors named Judy. And there's a whole bunch of other people. But those are some of the notable faces that, especially if you're an older viewer, you would recognize some of these actors as quite a few great actors in this piece. The twist is, and we see this at the very beginning, in fact, there's a little pre-opening sequence where you see one of these residents waking up in the middle of the night, hearing sounds, and then as they're about to leave their house, you see them get grabbed by something. You don't get a good view of it, but you think it's a creature. Is it a spirit? You're not sure what it is. But I believed it happened in the house. I remember now. It's been a few weeks since I saw this. The house next to him or in his house. Basically, it happens really close to where he's living. So there's an idea that, there might be a creature loose or something supernatural going on. We're not quite sure what it is. And that's your basis. He's going to get there. Strange things might start happening. He may or may not have to team up reluctantly at first, but maybe eventually not reluctantly with his various and sundry neighbors, and create, kind of Stranger Things created a motley crew. Here you got a motley crew of older people, and each of them brings different skills or different strengths to the team. And that's your basic setup. Now, I think this is a pretty solid series, and they could make another season of it, but I could also see this being a one and done. Either way, I think it's satisfying. The basic premise they set up in this series is followed through to the end so that you do get closure on all of these basic storylines. What is the creature? You're going to find that out. What kind of nefarious things might be going on in this overly idyllic community, which obviously has dark secrets underneath it? You will find out what is going on, and you will get some resolution to that. And will you get some ongoing and built relationships between all of these kind of different neighbors that he's going to want to be a part or friends with at all? Yes, you will get that as well. I would say a few things that I really enjoyed about it, other than just some great performances. I would say overall, a fairly light tone to the piece. Although there are actual stakes, people do die. So it's not full plot armor, although some characters you pretty much are sure going to live will probably live. But there are people that will die in this, partly because, they're all old, so the odds of some people dying is pretty good. Also, it gives them a little bit of freedom to just go for things because, hey, they're 80 or whatever age they are. They might as well live life and live this adventure and see it through. I also really like how the whole creature versus supernatural entity or whatever it is angle, I could see that totally being milked out to the very finale to find out what it actually is. That's not the case. You find out pretty quickly. I would say within I think it's about 8 episodes long, if I remember correctly. You might find out in like around the third episode what basically you see it. You see this creature and you find out basically what it is. You don't know exactly why it is and like why it's doing what it's doing, but you get an idea of what it is doing and how it operates. So I really appreciate that too, because it changes the whole mystery of it and it changes the whole adventure where it's not just, hey, we need to figure out what's going on and what these things are. It's more like, hey, the overall mystery is much more about what's going on in this community of the Boroughs and why is it happening and how can we stop it. It's more of that kind of a thing. Once again, I could go into all the spoilers, but I don't think it's going to be really fruitful to do that on this one. I don't think it's a really deep dive mystery spoiler kind of series. I think it's much more of a enjoy the kind of camaraderie between all these different characters and watch them grow together and also just enjoy the adventure because it's much more of an like sci-fi tinged adventure than it is a horror or hard sci-fi. Much more of an adventure with some kind of comedic elements, but not too comedic. But it's still very lighthearted. I thought that The Boroughs was a really solid watch. And for a Netflix series, you could do a whole lot worse. I think this one's pretty solid and I think worth watching, especially if you like some of those actors. It's great to see them have a lot of screen time. I would probably go, is it 3.5 or 4 stars on this one? I thought it was really solid. I think I'll go 3.5 stars for The Boroughs. If you tend to want to find a new series and you're looking at Netflix and you're wondering about this one, I think it's worth dipping your toes into. This is also one of those series that's rare these days where you could easily watch this with your mom and dad and they would be cool with that. It doesn't ever get too intense. It never gets too crazy. Whereas some of these series are like, I'm not going to be watching Euphoria with my mom and dad, but I could watch The Boroughs with my mom and dad. So that's what I got for The Boroughs.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. For more movie and television reviews and interviews, please subscribe to my Deepest Dream channel. Like, comment, share, subscribe. And as always, thanks so much for your support. Take care.